Good morning and welcome, listeners. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 1220 AM and 98.1 FM. This is SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson, and that reflects a little bit of a shift in our radio show. But before we get into that, I just want to remind our listeners that we will have breaking news updates as they come, so please stay tuned. We're going to be chatting today about one of our local charter schools, SCVi, but we will have news updates as they come in. Please stay tuned here on KHTS 1220. As I said, this is SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson, your host, and I'm here with Kevin Becker. Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing well, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. A little bit shifty due to the flames on the other side of the hill, and
Fair.
We're certainly keeping an eye on them as they move around. Hopefully, the firefighters will be able to knock them down soon. These Santa Ana winds, Randy Newman sang about them, but they can really mess things up when it gets a little bit warm. Our regular listeners might have noticed that we've changed our name. Our show used to be known as Our Way on the Highway, but we've changed the name to our show. We're now going with Eye on the Valley, but that's not EYE on the Valley, Kevin. That's a lowercase I on the Valley, which is a double pun. You know how much I love puns.
Very much. You love them very, very much.
The lowercase I comes from the I in SCVi. And what does the I stand for, Kevin?
I believe it stands for International, Matt.
That's right. SCVi is Santa Clarita Valley's international charter school. We at SCVi feel that it's very, very important to keep that international component in our school. We're a tuition-free public charter school. It's funny, oftentimes I mention to my friends, that I work for a charter school system, and they say, oh, wow, that sounds exciting. How much is it? It is a free public school funded by the taxpayers, so thank you all very much, listeners. It means pretty much anyone can attend. We're not limited by district boundaries, so pretty much if you can hear my voice today, then you can attend. If you and your student live in Los Angeles County or adjacent counties, we are your free public school, so come on out and take a look. Anyways, like I said, we're changing our name. We're changing our format a little bit, too. Got the new name. We'll have new guests. We're at a new time slot. We used to be on Thursday mornings, switching to Friday mornings, which is a great lead-in to the weekend and a lot of the different events that we've got going on at our school and within our community. Kevin's here to talk about a lot of those events. There's a lot going on.
We do. We have a lot coming up very quickly, starting even next weekend.
Absolutely. So let's remind our listeners of exactly who SCVi is, because right now they might be wondering, is SCVi a school? Is it a community events organization? Well, we're kind of both. We intend not to be just a reflection of our community, but we strive really hard to be a functioning cog in our community. We like to be in our community. We like our community to be involved very deeply in our school. SCVi, Santa Clarita Valley International, is the Santa Clarita Valley's first classroom-based charter school. We opened in 2008 with the mission to lead the way in educational reform. We've been on the forefront of initiatives like project-based learning, social-emotional learning, and the Maker movement. We are Santa Clarita Valley's only comprehensive school. That means that your child can actually attend the same school on the same campus from kindergarten through 12th grade. I know a lot of our families really value that. It's kind of nice if you've got a student in 4th grade, 8th grade, and 11th grade. They can all attend the same school. We've got a lot of families that do that. It builds a really strong sense of community. Kevin, I know you work in the high school. I noticed when I was on campus the other day, a lot of the high school facilitators, as we call our teachers, walking down to just chat with some of the middle school and elementary school facilitators, and we get a lot of collaboration going on back and forth. Does that really support the curriculum?
Oh, yes, it does. So one of the things that we have been really focused on in the last couple years especially has been working on making sure we have what's called vertical integration. So I teach English and theater, so I'm talking to other high school teachers who teach English and theater, and then talking to the ELA teachers in the middle school, and then the facilitators down in lower school. And it's really helpful to say, like, okay, well, if we know this, and from this grade to this grade to this grade, we can guarantee that we're keeping our standards at the highest level that we want them to be, but also making sure that our kids are supported where they need them, based on their specific kind of path that they're on.
Fantastic. And I know you guys can collaborate as far as what different books you've read and
Yes,
things
absolutely.
like that. That's so important. I remember when I first started my career in teaching, I taught in elementary school, and we would do that. And it was so valuable for us to be able to collaborate from kindergarten through sixth grade. But then our kids would leave us in sixth grade, never to be seen again. And we always wondered what they were doing in middle school and in high school. And then, a little bit later in my career, I shifted to middle school, and I was always wondering what kind of crop of kids I had coming in and what their needs were. I had to wait, a good 6-8 weeks before I could really understand what my kids needed before I could get started with curriculum. The fact that you have that articulation coming up at each level is so important, and it's just, it also builds such a great sense of family
Absolutely.
at SCVi.
And actually, Matt, I'm going to flip this on you real quick. We're going crazy now.
Whoa.
So you said a phrase that I get asked about a lot, and I know that you've been here for a long time, so I thought I'd ask you a question. Why, and I know the answer, so don't worry about it, but why are we called facilitators and not teachers?
Well, at SCVi, we're really looking to cause a shift in the way we do things. It's really interesting. I saw a presentation not long ago that said, if you look at a photograph 100 years ago, in 1919, of an automobile assembly line and a photograph of an automobile assembly line in 2019, radically different. If you looked at just about any industry out there, a photograph taken 100 years ago and today, you would see radical changes in every area except for education. And for about 25 years now, we've been talking about educational reform, but education has been the area that is really slowest to change. And like I said, the reason we exist, the whole purpose of many charter schools, but especially SCVi and iLead Schools. iLead Schools is our parent corporation. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the purpose that we exist is to help cause that shift. I mentioned that we are at the forefront of project-based learning, social-emotional learning, the maker movement. Well, you can't change things without being intentional about it. And so we want to constantly remind ourselves who we are versus who we aren't. And when I say teacher, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Everyone has been through the educational system. And the notion that I always got anyways, and most of us get as a teacher, is that person at the front, up on stage, kind of as a jug, ready to pour the knowledge from their head into their student's head. And the students are there to passively learn and repeat what it is their teacher is kind of preaching or dictating to them. A facilitator, that kind of shifts things, and it caused me, when I was in the classroom, constant reminder that I'm not there to indoctrinate my kids. I'm there to facilitate their own learning. I'm there to set the stage and get out of the way. It was kind of funny. When I first joined SCVi, I had about 16 years experience in education, and I joined a team of 3 other educators whose experience combined was less than that 16 years. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to be really helpful and supportive to them. I learned more from my 3 colleagues that first year than they could have ever learned from me. And one of the biggest things they taught me, they kept saying, Matt, get out of the way. Let the kids do it. And, the more I stepped back, the more I realized the kids are ready to fill that gap. We talk about preparing our kids for the real world. Our kids are in the real world now, and they want to affect change now. And we see this all across the country. This isn't a local phenomenon, but teachers need to get out of the way. And so that's why we are facilitators, and that's why we call our students learners. It's that intentional shift of language that we want to be really purposeful about. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, SCVi tries to strive, as I said, not just to be a reflection of our community, but a cog in that community. It's part of our format change. We want to talk about what we're seeing and what we, not just our school, but the community at large is up to, what we can do to be a part of it. We talked about that lowercase I and SCVi, and a big way that we can bring the international to SCVi and to the Santa Clarita community is through our IB program. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So tell me, Kevin, let's get to know you a little bit. You said that you teach English and theater.
Yes.
Okay. And you've taught at the middle school and now at the high school level, correct?
Yes. Okay. So fun fact, I've taught at all of the levels now. When I first started, I was a music teacher for K through 5. And so that was my first pause. When I first started, I was a substitute teacher. Then I was brought on as music for K through 5. Then I was able to teach in middle school for a semester, but there was a need in the high school, and because we were able to make some rearrangements that are actually something that we are able to do because we are a K through 12 school. We're able to say, okay, the support's needed over here, the help's needed over here. I was moved up to the high school, and honestly, I think that was the right place for me to be. Like, I love being in the high school. I have loved teaching all the other age groups, but being in the high school, helping the kids with getting ready for this transition to be away from, okay, well, I'm a teenager and I can count on everything kind of being in the house for me, and they're getting their first jobs, and they're looking at college, and they're getting ready for this terrifying step into the world. It's like, I love being able to being helped. So I apparently didn't eat words this morning. I love being able to be there to help them kind of find their passions and their drive and figure some stuff out, because it's like I tell my kids all the time, who we are isn't defined by when we fall down. It's defined by how we get ourselves back up and how often we get ourselves back up. And so I love being able to be there to be like, cool, you fell down. How do we get back up? Let's figure it out. And that's one of my greatest joys in teaching high school.
That is great. It's funny. Our boss, Don Evenson, our co-founder, talks about how failure isn't an option; it's mandatory. We want our kids pushing the envelope. We want our adults pushing the envelope and trying new things. And if you're not failing, you're not learning. So that's a great thing that you mentor the kids in that as well. I know you've got a great connection with the high schoolers. They seem to enjoy your presence around there. So let me ask you something. Can you tell me about Kevy Westside? Who is Kevy Westside?
Okay, so Kevy Westside is my nickname, and it comes from a very interesting story from my high schoolers. So 2 years ago, we were doing our Meet the Facilitator night, which is the night that we do before the first day of school. And I'm in there, and I'm helping make sure that the sound system is set up and the projector is set up. And a kid who I've had for a couple years now, he's in my advisory, which is like our social emotional home base. And I look at him and I go, Liam, shout out to Liam. I go, Liam, can you double check that the soundboard is ready for people? And he goes, okay, Keith, just messing with me, because we have that relationship with these kids, and so for a year, kids thought my first name was Keith, and it is not Keith. Like, I would get parents who would be like, are you getting my emails? I'm like, no, where are you sending them? They would Keith.Becker. I was just like, this has got to stop. So I remembered a nickname that one of my best friends in the whole world, Ryan, gave me back in college, and he called me Kevy Westside once. And I dug that back out, and I was just like, this is happening. And so I went to my theater kids, I went to my advisory kids, and I was like, everybody should call me Kevy Westside. And they were like, that's ridiculous. I love it. And so luckily that one has stuck, and Keith has kind of left, and now I've put it out into the community, so it's going to come back. But like, I am proud to be Kevy Westside. Last year they even they started a campaign, because we have grad night every year. Lots of high schools go to Disney or Universal, and last year we were going to Universal, and I'm a big Harry Potter nerd. I'm a big Star Wars nerd now as well, but now that we have Star Wars Land in Disney. But I was like, I want to go to Harry Potter Land. And so they started putting up posters, bring Kevy Westside to grad night. And I'm very proud to say I went to grad night.
Fantastic. That relationship really is key. It sounds like we're just kind of all fun and games. Fun is really important. We talk about it with our little ones. We are really also at the forefront of play-based learning and how kids need to play in order to discover their world. But when the kids get a little bit older, it's important that they make those connections, that their teacher not be just that, like I said, stoic voice in front of the room. I oftentimes think about Charlie Brown's teacher, and we don't want to be that wah, 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 wah. I see the way that you and the other upper school, the high school facilitators really connect with our kids and build that relationship. That is so foundational. You talk so much about our advisory program, our social emotional learning program. It's really important that our facilitators be connecting with our kids so that our kids can feel dialed in. That's how we can push them. That's how we can get them to take risks, not only in seeking a career path, but in maybe writing about something that's a little bit of a risk. So those relationships are super important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely want to get into a little bit more about who you are and what you're doing at the upper school, Kevin. We do have to take a little bit of a break, but we want our listeners to stay tuned in. Like I said, we will have updates on the fires as we have them, but we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the arts and a little bit more about Kevy Westside. Yeah. You are listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm your host, Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS.
KHTS strives to give the Santa Clarita Valley all the information they need. And when our computers aren't working the way they should, we call Resurgence, your true source for IT. Resurgence provides outstanding customer service while also providing the highest technical ability. They strive to do what's best to improve and protect your business. For more information on Resurgence, call 349-4114 or visit resurgenceit.com.
You could be launching your rewarding career with one of Santa Clarita's leading defense contractors, FMI Aerostructures. Imagine creating critical airplane fighter components for our nation's defense. Be on the cutting edge of advanced technologies and get the skills needed to make our defense your career. We offer career paths for beginners and professionals. FMI Aerostructures, one of Santa Clarita's largest employers since 1978.
Find out about our 4-credit mentorship programs through College of the Canyons and the William S. Hart High School District. Visit fmiscv.com.
This October 31st, Elevate Church invites you to Family Thrill Night. It's a festival experience for the whole family. This is a free event taking place in Old Town Newhall where you and your family will experience live music performances, candy for kids and youth, food trucks, carnival theme activities, a giant inflatable slide, a live 4D production with 5 shows, and so much more. For more information, please visit elevatechurchscv.org. That's elevatechurchscv.org.
Traffic brought to you by Frontier Toyota. Frontier Toyota reminds you to drive safely. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. See their all-new hot and exciting 2019 Toyota Camry. Frontier Toyota, the Camry Kings.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayOutRecoverySCV.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Hometown. KHTS breaking news.
Here's the latest update on the Saddle Ridge fire, which broke out at 9 o'clock last night. Traffic around our valley is still very heavy, with the southbound 5 and 14 freeways shut down right before the Newhall Pass. Additionally, Sierra Highway is shut down at Newhall Avenue, and the old road is shut down near Pico Canyon Road. All schools in Santa Clarita have been shut down for the day, and Six Flags Magic Mountain has announced that they will not open until 5 p.m. this evening. Later this afternoon, officials are set to announce whether or not Friday night sporting events around town will continue as scheduled. For the latest updates on the Saddle Ridge fire, tune in to KHTS 98.1 FM and AM 1220, or head to hometownstation.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 1220 on the AM dial and 98.1 FM. This is Matt Watson, your host for SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, and I'm joined here today with Kevin Becker, director and producer of the SCVi Theater Program. Welcome back, Kevin.
Thank you.
For our listeners, please do stay tuned as we will continue to update you on the status of the Saddle Ridge fire and any updates as they come. Breaking news will come in, and we'll update you as we can. In the meantime, we're going to continue getting to know Kevin Becker as Kevy Westside. So, Kevin, I know you're originally from Cleveland. How long have you been here in Santa Clarita?
Living in Santa Clarita, I moved here in 2016, but I had been involved in the theater community, specifically at what is now the Main and what was the Rep, the East Repertory Playhouse, for about 2 years before that. So I've been involved in Santa Clarita for 5 years, and then once I got the job at SCVi, I moved up here to be closer to work.
Okay, fantastic. So you're relatively a newcomer. But
I'm a little baby.
I love how involved in the community you are. That's really important to us in Santa Clarita that people be involved in the community, and we always love seeing everybody out there. You know, I've been here almost 40 years now, and this community was very different back then. Kevin, indulge me for a moment while I play a little bit of a game with our listeners.
All right,
let's see how long they've all been around. If you're driving in your car, keep your hands on the wheel, but you can raise an eyebrow. But if you're listening to us at home, raise your hand and play along. How many of you out there remember when the local mall was the Northridge Fashion Center? Yeah, way back then when we had to drive over that hill to do any kind of shopping at all. How many of you remember when there were only 3 high schools in the valley? Or maybe just 2. That's
You keep looking at me like I'm supposed to know this.
I know there's some hands out there going up. How about after the Friday night football game, which, by the way, we'll be receiving updates around noon about the status of Friday night sports. But after the Friday night football game, how many of you remember going to Bob's Big Boy? I understand that Denny's is the hot spot now.
We had a Big Boy in Cleveland. I got that one. I know this one.
Great. How about Dollar Tuesdays at the Lions Cinema? How many of you remember the vegetable fields and the Tapia Brothers stands with the best produce in town? Kevin, you've never had vegetables like the Tapia Brothers had. I could go on and on, but I want to get back to some of the great things that are going on at SCVi. I mentioned that lowercase I stands for international, and we do a lot of different things to bring the international flavor to the Santa Clarita Valley and SCVi Charter School. One of them is the IB program, the International Baccalaureate program. I know that's something that's really important to a lot of our families. They come to SCVi specifically for the IB program. Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about IB and what that is?
So IB is a really interesting program that we have. So it stands for International Baccalaureate, and one of the things that it does is it allows us to take the learning and the academics and the rigor of our kids up to that next level. So it's a self-selecting program. It is if a learner wants to try IB, they are welcome to sign up for the class. And we have it in a couple different ways. You can do the full diploma program where you take every class as IB and you take a full course load, and then you graduate with the full IB diploma, which is kind of cool. Or you can, because we are a self-selecting school, you can say, oh, I would like to take IB English and IB Film and IB Mandarin, and I think the rest of my classes I can do at kind of the standard level. And we have a variety of kids who do any and all of the above. Like, oh, I just want that IB class, or I want like half and half, or I want all but one. So it's a really incredible program that really gives our kids a chance to take their drive and their learning and push that to a level that they wouldn't get in another program.
And I love that it's an opt-in program.
Yes.
It's not a program that you test into. I hear even in IB, some other schools will tell kids, I'm sorry, you didn't test high enough to get into the IB program. Any of our kids and all of our kids are encouraged to take IB classes as a way of pushing themselves. Some of them do find that it's very, very rigorous.
Yes.
and will end up making a change at the semester break or for senior year. But any kid is welcome and encouraged to take this deep, rigorous course of study. Oftentimes folks will compare IB to AP courses because they're both very rigorous.
Yeah.
However, the IB website differentiates a little bit. Their website says some see AP as more focused on rote learning and standardized tests. In contrast, IB classes and assessments tend to involve more research, writing, and hands-on evaluation. A key difference is the final exam. IB exams are set up to challenge students to apply what they've learned in new scenarios, such as analyzing a case study in effort to test students' ability to react to new information in a limited period of time. The tests, often essays, which IB focuses heavily on writing, which is so important, written communication. The tests are then sent to one of 6,000 trained international examiners to be graded alongside work from other IB students worldwide. And most significant to me, Kevin, is like the curriculum at SCVi, IB is an inquiry-based curriculum where kids are really expected to get their hands dirty as they dig into their curriculum. So what kind of classes do we offer at SCVi in the area of IB?
So we offer all of like the standard checklist. If you go down, we've got IB English, IB History, IB Math. We've got IB Spanish, IB Mandarin, IB Theater, IB Visual Art, IB Film, which is a really cool opportunity for all of the kids. Pretty much, if we offer the class, we offer an IB version of it.
That's fantastic. You offer these deeper, more challenging classes in the arts too. I know it's something that's very close to your heart as you work in the theater, and you've got an important announcement to make that you're looking forward to making. So tell us a little bit about the theater program. What can we expect coming up in this 2019-2020 season?
All right. So this is everybody who follows our SCVi Theater social media. So on Instagram, we're at theater.scvi or scvi.theater, and then we're SCVi Theater Arts on Facebook. Got a big post yesterday. We are officially announcing the 2019-2020 theater arts season right here on KHTS. I'm very excited. So our theater arts program runs across many grade levels. So we have a 3rd grade through 8th grade program, and that program meets Tuesdays and Thursdays after school. And then we have our upper school program, which is for 8th grade. So 8th graders can opt to either stay as leaders in the 3rd through 8 program, or starting this year, we've allowed them the opportunity to, if they want, step on up to the high school and dive into the next level of theatrical experiences.
How beautifully flexible. That speaks again to the comprehensive nature of our school, that the middle schoolers can flex into a high school program if they prefer, if they prefer to stay in the 3rd through 8th grade program and be, like you said, somewhat mentors. That's beautiful. And I love that you guys not only encourage but actually foster the arts in deep ways from early on. It's not just something that you can get into when you're in high school. That's great.
But without further ado,
drum roll, please.
So we started last year having a 5-show season for the theater arts at SCVi. So that's 2 shows for our 3rd through 8th, and we have 3 shows in our high school. And this year we have a very ambitious season, but I'm very, very excited about it.
Yeah, you're going to be busy.
We are going to be so busy, and it's going to be awesome. Our first show, we are doing Peter and the Starcatcher, and that is opening on November 7th, and it runs the weekend November 7th, 8th, and 9th at 7 p.m. Tickets are currently available at tinyurl.com/SCVi Starcatcher. And for anyone who has seen Peter and the Starcatcher, we are doing it a bit differently than I've seen. We're not doing the norm. So my directorial standpoint from it, my concept, as I learned in college, is this idea of children playing in an attic, and they start to play pretend, and the pretend starts to take over. So we'll have this really interesting transition from this world of kids playing a game into now what is the magic, and what is their belief versus how much magic are they creating in themselves. After that, we go on to our 3rd through 8 program with their first show, which is called Once Upon a Decade, and that runs December 13th through 14th at 7 p.m., and that show takes us through 4 fairy tales that we know, Cinderella, Snow White, those kind of things, but each one is a different decade. Snow White, for example, is in the 1950s. All the dwarves are beatniks, and they're playing bongos, and this one was actually written by my K through 6 theater mentor back in Cleveland. Her name is Rachel Spence, and she's one of the most amazing theater artists for young for young creators and young artists in the world. And I reached out to her and I said, this is our season. We're doing an imagination kind of fairy tale season. And she was like, I have just the show, and we're very, very excited.
Oh, that's great.
Then in second semester, we are embarking on a totally new idea. We are going to be doing an SCVi original production. So this is a show that has not been done anywhere before. I know nothing about it because the kids haven't written it yet. It is a play that will be devised theater, which means that it won't have a standard written script. They will be coming up with it on their own. That will be directed by our very own Cordelia Winter-Dwyer, because at devised theater she is brilliant at. And her and the kids will be exploring this idea of monsters and monsters, villains, all of these characters in our fairy tales that we couldn't have great stories without. But like, what do we not think about from them? We follow that up with our 3rd through 8 musical. We are doing Snow White and the Magnificent Seven.
Nice.
I will only put the dwarves on stage, the 7 dwarves on stage, if they are not regular like minors. And that runs February 27th through the 29th, and that is a full musical. And then we will end on a show that is incredibly ambitious, but I think is very, very exciting. Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods is our upper school musical, which will run May 14th through the 16th. Now, we do 5 shows, and we offer a kind of variety of ticket choices. You know, if you're a student, you have a student ID, you get a nice $5 ticket. It's not a big weight on you, you know, for all of your work and stuff that you're trying to do. You're saving up for prom or whatever. And sure. So we also have our standard level ticket is $15, but we do offer what's called a VIP ticket. And the VIP ticket gives you preferential seating. It's usually the first or second row, and it does come with a free popcorn and a free drink of your choice from the concession stand, and those tickets run $25. And this year what we're doing is a new program. We're offering what we're calling the VIP season pass experience.
Oh, nice.
And so if you are interested in getting a VIP ticket to all 5 of our shows, which normally would cost $125, you can buy them right now. They are on sale for just $100, and you say basically buy 4 get 1 free. So you would get a ticket to all 5 of our shows, and you get to experience that. And you can look that up at tinyurl.com/SCViVIP, and that will be our season ticket program for the year. So if you're interested, you want to support the arts, we would love to see you out there.
That's a great kind of a red carpet experience. And you mentioned supporting the arts and some of our young artists. But, I've been to several of your shows. This isn't a kind of an amateurish type feel. You guys put on a great show.
Well, thank you.
As a matter of fact, I understand last year there was some members in the community that actually requested sort of a command performance, that they wanted to bring some other friends out to see the show, but you guys, they came to see you, I think, on closing night.
Yes. So last year we did the Laramie Project, which is a very heavy show, and I think it really talks to the maturity level and the drive of our kids, because I came to them and I said, I want to do the Laramie Project, and they said, yes, please, can we? This is important. It's the same reason why we're doing this devised theater, because the kids don't just sit back and let us tell them these are the shows you're going to do, these are the lines you're going to learn. They're very much hands-on in what our season looks like. And so letting them create this middle show, and they got to help me kind of find the confidence to do the Laramie Project. And PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays in Santa Clarita, and SCV Queer, they were amazing. They are amazing, amazing, amazing organizations. And they came out and they saw the show and they were like, this is great. More people need to know this story. Can we do it again? And so we went, sure. And we did a 2-week turnaround, and a couple of the kids had to drop out because they were like, I've got finals coming up.
Sure.
And I scheduled around this. So some of the kids who were in the cast had to pick up extra parts, and we were able to do one more performance that was able to benefit the LGBTQ plus community in our area. Money went to the Matthew Shepard Foundation. And so we don't necessarily want to sit back and just do shows that are fun. We do shows that are fun because, that's art is not just entertainment, but it's also something that can push us forward and challenge us to take the next steps. And I think Laramie Project was a big move in that direction for us.
And you mentioned, we talked earlier about your role as a facilitator. You're not that despot in charge of the theater. The kids take an active role in writing, obviously in acting, but then also in set design. And I know we've had at least a dozen kids leave our high school and go straight into the industry, whether it's acting or sound staging, or we had one of our recent graduates actually working at the Emmys this year.
Yes.
And so you guys run a very professional program.
Thank you. We try. I know that our tech director, Cordy, it works very hard with letting the kids be autonomous. She wants them. They're going to design all of the shows in the second semester with our guidance, but
Yeah.
instead of her and I sitting down and being like, this is what the set looks like, here we go, we want to start being able to hand it over to them.
The kids need to do it. I wish we could talk for more for longer, Kevin. Unfortunately, it's time for a quick commercial break, but stay tuned for our wrap-up and a very special invitation for the veterans in our audience, as well as a lot of upcoming events and updates on the fires that are raging locally. So you'll want to have your calendar handy when we come back. I am Matt Watson, host of Eye on the Valley, SCVi Charter Schools radio show here on KHTS.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLead's founding school, SCVi combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVi has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLeadSantaClarita.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association is celebrating our 30th anniversary at the Hyatt Regency Friday, November 1st. This year, there's a free art show from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. filled with multiple art demonstrations, musical entertainment, a fine art exhibition, silent auction, jewelry booths, and more in the Grand Ballroom. The ticketed gala begins at 5 with entertainment by Lance Allen, a live auction led by Councilman Bob Keller, followed by our art awards ceremony. Purchase tickets for only $25 at santaclaritaartist.org.
Hi, I'm Steve Cruz, and my wife and I own the local pub and grill. With 19 70-inch TVs, it's the best place in the valley to catch a game. We have a vast selection of beer, wine, and specialty cocktails to choose from, including our charity ale, where 10% of every pint we sell goes to Carousel Ranch. Our menu features classics with a flavorful twist. Come by for Taco Trivia Tuesdays at 7, Wines Day for bingo and karaoke starting at 8 p.m., and karaoke every Saturday at 9. Local Pub and Grill, right next to Bevmo on the Old Road. Support local, support community.
This is Jeremy Steppen, owner of Resurgence IT. Cybersecurity is all the buzz around the world and has become part of almost every conversation. The fact is, technology is so embedded in everything we do, there is no escaping this new society we've become. With cyber threats coming at us from all directions, how can you protect yourself and your company? Take control of your IT before it takes control of you. Be on the lookout for more information on resurgenceit.com.
Halloween at Real Life Church is the largest free family-friendly Halloween event in Santa Clarita. Their all-new experience will feature endless indoor trick-or-treat booths filled with candy, balloon artists, face painting, lots of treat vendors, animals of all shapes and sizes, and oh yes, a real live giraffe. Discover why thousands of families make this a tradition every year. The fun all happens Friday, October 25th from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Real Life Church. Tickets are free and can be redeemed online at reallifechurch.org.
Hometown. KHTS breaking news.
Here's the latest update on the Saddle Ridge fire, which broke out at 9 o'clock last night. Traffic around our valley is still very heavy, with the southbound 5 and 14 freeways shut down right before the Newhall Pass. Additionally, Sierra Highway is shut down at Newhall Avenue, and the Old Road is shut down near Pico Canyon Road. All schools in Santa Clarita have been shut down for the day, and Six Flags Magic Mountain has announced that they will not open until 5 p.m. this evening. Later this afternoon, officials are set to announce whether or not Friday night sporting events around town will continue as scheduled. For the latest updates on the Saddle Ridge fire, tune in to KHTS 98.1 FM and AM 1220, or head to hometownstation.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 1220 on the AM dial and FM at 98.1. This is Matt Watson with Kevin Becker from SCVi Charter School and our show, Eye on the Valley. Kevin, it's been great talking to you this morning.
Thank you. It's been great to be here.
You know, as we went to the break, we talked a little bit about some of the exciting things going on with our theater program and the amazing things that you guys are doing in really turning the program over to the kids. You know, it's funny. I remember when I was the upper school director there, and I would come into the theater sometimes, and the kids would refer to it as their theater. You know, if I tried to mess with the sound or the lighting, they'd say, "Hey, what are you doing to my soundboard?" And they didn't do it in an aggressive way. They truly took ownership of what they were doing. Like I mentioned before, that has a good number of our learners have been able to parlay that into some really great careers right out of high school. I know there's been a couple of our graduates that have gotten work doing set design, doing lighting in, you know, different Hollywood productions. I mentioned Sydney Crosman, who worked at the Emmys this year. She does a lot of photography work and a lot of set design, things like that. But it's not just in the theater, Kevin, that you're turning things over to the kids. You know, and that goes back to the whole notion of what we talked about why we change what we call things, why we are not teachers, we're facilitators, because the learning, the knowledge doesn't belong to us. It belongs to our kids. The education belongs to the kids. It's so funny how many schools I've visited where so many decisions are made with adults first. You know, but we have calibration questions when we're talking about different decisions that we make. That very first calibration question that our leaders should be asking in our schools is, what do the kids think? The education belongs to the kids. So we've heard so much about what you're doing in the theater to hand things over to the kids. What about in the classroom? Is it similar in the classroom that kids are really in the driver's seat?
Yeah. So one of the nice things about project-based learning, and one of the things that I really enjoy about it, is that it becomes a tandem journey for us and the kids together. Because people ask me, like, oh, if the kids are in charge, they pick what they learn? No.
We still have state standards that we need to follow.
We do, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they get to pick more how they learn it. So currently, I teach English 11 standard level, so they can choose to be in English 11 standard or IB English. And with my English 11 kids, we're currently doing a project that I came up with for this year that I'm calling the Museum of Human Kindness. And basically what we're doing is we read a book called The Day the World Came to Town, which talks about on 9/11, the planes that got rerouted to Gander, Newfoundland, and this whole city that just opened up and embraced all of these people, and in these great moments of tragedy, this great act of kindness. It's a wonderful book. It's a very quick and very uplifting read. And so what we're doing now is we just finished reading the book. So we've read nonfiction. Now we're going into what they get to design. So what I've asked them to do is we've learned some research skills. We've learned all about, biases and how to do good research. And we're using that to find an act of kindness from humanity throughout the most recent history. So, the one that they came up with first, they were like, so SoCal Helpful Honda, we can do SoCal Helpful Honda? And I was like, you can do one SoCal Helpful Honda.
That's great.
And so they've been finding acts of kindness. Some examples, I have one learner who's talking about the people who reached out after the nightclub shootings in Orlando.
Yes.
We've got people talking about, oh, well, this is a guy who drove around and just paid for people's meals at the drive-thru at McDonald's, and just various different levels of kindness that they're bringing to the community. And then our question is, how can we learn about that and bring it to our community itself? So there's a non-negotiable. They do have to write a research paper, standard APA-style research paper. We're going over how to do that. But then afterwards, they get to memorialize this act of kindness of theirs in any way that they're interested. I have kids who like to make movies, and so they're working on making short films or short commercials that we can put on our screens around school, where some kids are writing songs, some kids are creating comic books or paintings or mosaics or statues. I literally hand it out to them and I go, if someone had told me, tell me about human kindness in a paper, when I was a kid, I would have been like, fine, all right, dude, I'll just do that. But if someone had said to me, maybe, what would you like to do? Well, I like theater. Can you make a guerrilla-style play that like can be done in malls and places that help us show kindness? I would have been all about it, and I would have learned so much more. And I think that that's why I love project-based learning and why I love being able to not be a driver but to be equally in tandem with the kids, is because they get to go like, I want to learn how to make a quilt. All right, I don't know how to do that, but let's figure it out. And so we're learning it together. And I have kids who have struggled in public schools and in other classes and in just every variety where they have felt. And this is in no way am I saying that other teachers are doing something wrong. I'm just saying that like sometimes kids need something different. And I think that we offer that difference in a way that is empowering and helps those kids who are struggling to find their purpose and struggling to find their path go, oh, I want to do this. And instead of being like, well, I don't know how to do that, I can't help you, we can go, all right, let's figure it out together.
And it's that spirit that has made our country and our community of Santa Clarita really terrific. That notion of, I don't know how to do that, but let's find a way. And that's what we talk about being a facilitator. You hand those things over to the kids, and they quickly develop that notion of, A, it's okay if I don't know how to do something. I don't shy away from things that I don't understand. I learn to take a risk. But then B, there's always a way to figure it out. And that's how they build that grit that we're talking about. Oftentimes you hear people of my generation and of your generation talking about, these kids really lack grit. We need to build grit. Well, that's what does it. When they're encouraged to take risks, when they learn that it's okay to fail.
Absolutely.
Giving them that voice really does empower them. I've worked with a lot of high school teachers, especially high school English teachers in the past that work with juniors and seniors. And they get really stressed out because they know their job is to prepare kids for the deeper level writing and research papers in college. And oftentimes, not to blame anyone, I get the pressure. You really got to prepare kids for what they don't know, but you do as a college graduate. And that's why teachers can tend to take back the curriculum and say, no, we can't do what you want to do because I know you need this for college. But as a result of some of the projects that you guys allow your kids to take over, and they really do build their own voice into it, it takes kids from that, what would be a great student or a great learner, and allows them to flourish into leaders.
And I think, so one of the things that, and Chris Nilsson, our college academic counselor, is really wonderful at this, is the ability to turn it over to them. And I say this to my class all the time. I'm like, I don't know what your next step is. I don't know if you want to go to college. I don't know if you want to go to trade school. I don't know if you want to get a job. All of those are wonderful. Your path is what your path is going to be. Let's help you figure out the skills and the know-how that you're going to need to do that. Because if I just look at a group of kids and I say, okay, this is what you're going to need to do to go to college, and 50% of those kids are looking at going to a trade school and looking at going into a family business, I've lost 50% of kids at that point. But if I can look at them and go, hey, I'm trying to make you, we talk about what is our vision as educators. Well, my vision is to, I worked on this when I was getting my master's degree, is to create questioning and empathetic citizens of the world. And all of that has to meet the standards and has to keep pushing that. But at the same time, I want them to be able to be like, what do I want to do? What change do I want to make? Because the world is going to be theirs in the blink of an eye. And if we're only talking to kids about one specific path, no matter what that one specific path may be, we are doing a disservice to every other kid who's sitting there and trying to figure out what their next step is.
Yeah. Pulling that voice in really does empower kids. I just got a text just this morning on my way in. It was interesting. One of our learners that I remember was constantly working on his writing. He didn't feel that his writing was up to par. He's now a freshman up at San Jose State, and I got a text from his family this morning that just yesterday he made a group presentation, and then after the group was done presenting in their English class, the professor came to just him and said, if you want to publish that, I would really encourage you. You're a fantastic writer, and if you're looking into the specific field that they were speaking to, I can help you get published. So just huge kudos to to Justin for that. But really speaks to them putting themselves in their projects and things that they're doing. A lot of our listeners have probably heard a lot about SCVi and may want to come see our school.
Yes.
And there's plenty of opportunities to do that. As I mentioned, it's not a closed campus that we keep our community out of. Our school should be thought of as a part of our community. So we've got a lot of events coming up. I mentioned before the break that I wanted our listeners to take out their calendars. We do have some invitations for them.
I'm ready.
So the Fall Festival is October 19th. That's coming up. Was that just next weekend?
That is next weekend,
right?
Yes.
So our Fall Festival is 1 to 5 p.m. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Our Fall Festival is a really fun kind of open community event. Each grade level is able to provide 1 to 2 booths or games. It's basically, if you've ever been to a county fair, it feels like that. You go, you play some games, you try to get some tickets. There's food available. One of the more popular things is we have at one of the high school booths is we always have a jail that they can go, and so like they can pay a ticket and they can put a person in jail. I spent 4 hours in jail last year. They just waited until I got out and then they put me right back in, and I'm just like, I have to work, guys. But it's a really great. You can come out, have some food, experience this really fun community that is not just for our kids or people, and it's not just for people who are like, oh, I would like to know more about SCVi. It's literally for any and everyone who wants to come on by. So I really do recommend it. It is a ton of fun. I go every year, and I always am like, okay, Fall Festival, I know what this is going to be, and then it turns out to be something totally different, and I'm like, that was a blast, man.
Well, because again, the kids put their voice into it every year, and they make it their own every year. Fantastic. So that Fall Festival is going to be next weekend, October 19th, 1 to 5 p.m. on campus at SCVi.
Yep.
We also have next month, November 11th, our school is going to be closed in observance of Veterans Day. But the very following day at 9 a.m., November 12th at 9 a.m., we'll be honoring our veterans in a brief but very moving flag ceremony. It is a school event, but our community is certainly welcome, especially any veterans in our community. We would love it if you were to come out and join us. We'd love to recognize you. So if you're a veteran here in the Santa Clarita Valley, or you're a member of our community somehow, please come out and join us.
Matt, I'm going to pop in here just for a second, because one of the questions I get a lot, especially because of theater organization, is like, where are you? Because we don't look like the traditional school that you might be looking for.
That is a good point.
So we are located at 28060 Hasley Canyon Road in Castaic. We are right there. If you drive in, there is a Starbucks. Hey guys, there's a Starbucks. But also our theater and our quad, which is where our Fall Festival will be, are right across from the Jack in the Box. So if you see the Jack in the Box, it's the building right across the parking lot.
Okay.
I know that sometimes Siri can get a little confused as to where exactly we are. So I always like to put out those couple of pointers.
Fantastic, and thanks. And it's not so far up north in Castaic. It's right off of 126. Fantastic. So if you are a veteran and want to join us on November 12th, please do so on campus at SCVi on Hasley Canyon, as Kevin described, at 9 a.m. We've got also our Multicultural Festival coming up November 22nd. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that before we wrap?
So Multicultural Festival is how we send our kids into Thanksgiving break, and what we do is every group who wants to can have a booth, and we celebrate all the different cultures, because we are a wide variety of people. And when I say cultures, I of course mean ethnicities, but also backgrounds. Our Prism Club, our LGBTQ society, has a booth there every year, because one of the things that we want to make sure our kids know is that culture isn't defined by a word on your 23andMe. Culture isn't defined by how people see you, but culture is defined by so many things, and we want to celebrate and embrace all of that.
Fantastic. So we've given our listeners a lot of events to attend, both in the theater and some of these events coming up, whether it's for Veterans Day, the Fall Festival, the Multicultural Festival. But they can always go to our website to get more information. That is ileadsantaclarita.org. That's ILEAD SantaClarita.org, ileadsantaclarita.org, for more information on the great theater program and all of our other community events coming up. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. Kevin, I want to thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Everyone, please stay safe out there and stay tuned to KHTS. We've got more updates on Friday night sports and updates as they come in via the news of the fires going on out there. So please stay safe. If you don't have to go out, stay where you're at and stay tuned to KHTS for local news and weather updates. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm your host, Matt Watson. Thank you for listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1.